So today, let's talk about the S word that sells. The S word that sells. And no, get your mind out of the gutter. It is not that. The S word is stories. Stories sell. Stories sell. You know, our parents told us bedtime stories, not bedtime facts. And when you can learn to share genuine examples and stories, that is when your sales ratio goes up. So let's talk about the 3 stories that you need to learn to sell more product, to sell more memberships. The first story you want to learn how to share is your company's story. Your company's story, because the backstory is what makes it compelling. The backstory of how Harlan Stonecipher started Legal Shield or PPLSI when he got into a car accident, and the lady who hit him, whose fault it was, ended up suing him, even though it was her fault. But anyone can sue anyone in America for anything. And he had to hire a lawyer back in the day in 1969 when the accident happened. He had to hire a lawyer to defend him in that, because car insurance back then only covered damage, but not lawsuits. And he had to empty his entire life savings to pay for an attorney to represent him. And he ended up winning because it was such a frivolous lawsuit, but he was out his entire life savings to afford an attorney. And that's when the birth of Legal Shield happened, because of that one thing, that one incident. He didn't want anyone else have to empty their life savings or go bankrupt or go into debt to try and get access to legal help. And so when you can learn your company's story and you can learn how to share it in a short way, you don't want to go like 15 minutes and bore people and put them to sleep. But if you can learn how to tell it in a succinct way, people love the mission and the heart, and the why comes out. Simon Sinek says people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't buy your company's product because of what you do and what you produce, but they buy from you because of why you do it. So, and our vision at Legal Shield is to build a better world where access to justice is equal for every human, regardless of your race, your gender, your orientation, your education, your social status, or personal wealth. Here at Legal Shield, we believe every human deserves access to affordable legal services without having to worry about the high hourly cost. And see, when I share that, did that move something in you a little bit? That's sharing the mission, sharing the company's story, why we do what we do. So always sharing our vision also kind of brings that out. Now, the second story you need to learn to sell more memberships and increase your closing ratio is to learn how to share a member's story. If I were to just tell you, hey, we represent you if you're being sued, we represent you if you're getting traffic tickets, uncontested divorce, and we prepare your wills, that just went over your head. You know, I lost you after I said the first thing, your eyes glaze over. People aren't paying attention. But if I tell you that my husband or that my best friend Dave got a traffic ticket last year in Laguna Niguel, and an attorney represented him in traffic court, and we won and didn't have to pay $400, nor did he have to take traffic school, no points on his driving record. And when you bring an attorney to court with you, you get to go first in line. That is like a whole lot more compelling than we do traffic ticket representation. So learn how to tell a member's story. Pick one that you think that everyone could relate to. Not everyone might be able to relate to the story about, you know, a lady whose life insurance policy didn't pay out or whatever, and it's this, you know, and all of a sudden she won $100,000 from a lawsuit that we defended her. Not everyone can relate to that story. But if you talk about how, you know, a member's was overcharged $200 by their cell phone company, and Legal Shield wrote a letter on their behalf and they got the money, that's something that everyone can relate to. So if you learn to start telling stories, especially when you're following up with buddies, maybe you shared what you do with a buddy. And although we're not trying to sell to our friends, but we do want our friends to be a confident referral source to us, right? We want our friend who's out there having lunch with people or in their workplace, hears of someone that has a legal situation. We want them to confidently refer them to us. We don't want them to wonder, oh, is that legal thing that Liz is doing, is that like legit? Is it real? Does it work? So every time you're with a friend and they ask you, how's that legal thing going? You can share a story. You can say, oh, it's great. You know, we helped somebody else, even though if it wasn't you that helped a direct member, but it was a member in our part of our membership base who got help. That is such a powerful story to share, and it's casual and it's not selling. When I'm telling a story, I'm not selling you. If I'm like, we do this and we do that, blah, 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 I feel like I'm coming at you. But if I'm just sharing a testimony and a story, it's a very friendly way that sticks with somebody and it increases their belief. Now, the third story that you want to learn how to tell is your own membership story. Now, how do you get your own membership story? Simple, by using the services, by using your product and genuinely sharing how you were able to use the services. Like we were able to get our will done. Every time we had a new kid, we have 3 kids now. We've had our will prepared and updated 3 times through Legal Shield. And I love it as a mom, knowing that my kids are going to be in the right family's care and the right custody and the right person is handling the finances for them, because I have put together our wishes in writing. And so for me to share that story is a genuine testimony of how I'm happy using the services. So those are the 3 stories that you want to learn to increase your product sales. Let's talk about the 3 stories you want to learn to attract more agents to your team. Are you ready? The first story you want to learn is your leader's story. Learn your leader's story. When I first got started and I didn't have a success story, I leaned on pointing at Brian Carruthers' story and saying, this is the guy that I'm working with. He's amazing. He used to be in real estate. He came from a very stressful environment where his brother and father were also all working together in the family-owned real estate company. And his brother and father each had 3 heart attacks and 2 heart surgeries before the age of 40. And Brian, being the younger brother, growing up in this and seeing this and how scary it was, family being taken away in the ambulance, decided, I want to start a plan B, start something part-time that would give me a backup plan so I wouldn't always be stressed. I could have income coming in another way, so it doesn't always depend on the stressful way which he experienced. And so he started part-time and was able to get to 6 figures right away. And now he's over $1 million a year, working from home, never having to leave the house and put on miles on the car and do all the stressful things that he used to have to do. Getting a chance to be home with his kids. So learning how to tell your mentor story until you have a story is very powerful. It also shares the vision when you're sharing these stories. In the book of Zechariah, God had to paint the vision of why they were doing the work that was hard. That wasn't always easy. They were facing rejection when they were out in the new land, in the new territory, trying to spread the gospel. But God had to paint the bigger vision of where they're going. People need to see it in picture of the heaven that is available to you by doing the work that's required. And so painting that vision to people of where they could go someday. And your leader usually has sometimes a bigger story. And so it's important to share that bigger vision. The second story you want to learn to share is your story, your own story. And your story will compose of 3 items. First, where you were when you first started in the business. What was your life like? For me, I was $40,000 in credit card debt at the age of 24 years old from making bad financial decisions after another, impulsive purchases and trying to keep up with the Joneses, AKA girlfriends in college that had, doctor daddies and lawyer daddies that would pay their credit card bills, but I got credit cards on my own and had to pay my own bills. So that's where I was. And then the second component is what was missing from your life. So I was $40,000 in credit card debt, and I was a personal trainer, which was good money. Personal trainers make great money. But what was missing is I could never have a day off because I always had to work because that's how I was going to make money. I was only made money when I had clients. So what was missing in my life was residual income, was a passive income. And I studied books like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Millionaire Next Door. I studied these financial books of successful people that have come before us in this world, and all of them pointed towards having a business with a passive income that comes in whether you're working or not. And so the third component is to share how has being a part of the company changed your life? How has being a part of the company changed your life? You could be new. You don't have to have this life transforming. You don't have to go from $0 to $1 million in 2 days. That doesn't need to be your story. In fact, people don't like that story. They're skeptical of that story. They can't relate to that story. So how has being a part of this company helped change and transform your life? And for me, it's allowed me to be able to work from home and be a full-time mom. It's grown to retire my husband from his corporate job and bring him home so he's not stressed out and he's in a much better mood. He's healthy, eating home-cooked meals. He's out riding his bike right now for 4 hours, and then he's going to a movie to see the new Brad Pitt movie, something scary that we don't want to see because it's scary. But anyway, or maybe it's violent, I don't know. So how has your life changed as a result of being a part of the company? So that's your story. And when you can share your story with someone, it becomes real to the people that you're trying to attract. And again, so when your friend asks you, how's the business going? You say, it's great. And you share where you were, what was missing, and where you're going, what you're excited about, and what little things have changed as a result. And the third story you want to learn to attract more people to your company is someone you're helping, their story. So you introduced Destiny to the business, and Destiny is a mom, single mom, and she needs a way to be able to stay at home with her son. So you're helping Destiny to be able to create an income from home so she doesn't need to leave and go into an office, which will question her if she needs to pick up her son from school in the middle of the day, which will question her if she wants to go on that field trip. You're empowering her with an income that she otherwise wouldn't have had access to. So in review, the 3 stories you want to learn to increase your membership sales is your company story. Number 2, you're a member story in the company. Number 3, your membership story, your own personal story. And the 3 stories you want to learn to attract more agents to your team is your leader's story. Number 2, your story. And number 3, someone you're helping, their story. So now let's get into workshop mode, and I want to help you form your story. So let's take a moment to get into the pen and write down your story. Where were you before you got involved? What was missing in your life? And how has being a part of the company started to shape and change the trajectory of where you are going? Let's get into it and then let's share.